In our modern day society, many people have been indoctrinated to turn to pharmacological solutions to fix any and all problems within the human body. There are thousands of different pharmaceutical drugs on the market for all kinds of different ailments that can affect a human being. We as a society have become over-reliant on man-made chemistry rather than the natural holistic pharmacy that each human body has within. If you or someone you love is suffering from post-concussion-like symptoms from a head injury or whiplash trauma, it is very likely you've had the thought, I wonder if there is a pharmaceutical solution to this pain or these symptoms that I'm experiencing. Unfortunately, the traditional medical establishment does not have a solution for MTBI or whiplash-induced soft tissue injuries. If you go to see your family doctor expecting them to write up a prescription for some miracle drug that will eliminate your headaches or nausea, I'm sorry, but you're going to waste your time and money only to be sent home empty-handed and being told to get lots of rest till your symptoms go away. This is the generic answer that 99% of family doctors, emergency room doctors, or walk-in clinic doctors are going to tell you. Unfortunately, these doctors deal with too many patients and too many different ailments each day, which doesn't allow them to gain hyper-specialized knowledge on the brain and MTBI recovery techniques. Let's dig a little deeper to understand why there aren't any pharmaceutical solutions to these MTBI or whiplash-induced concussion-like symptoms. First off, pharmaceutical drugs are designed and tested to be effective at targeting one specific symptom only. When it comes to MTBIs, there's a full list of potential symptoms that may arise after an impact, such as sensitive eyes, facial numbness, nausea, dizziness, balance or coordination problems, headaches, neck pain, and severe fatigue, just to name a few. Each person will have a unique list of symptoms they're experiencing due to differences in each human body's physiology, the individual's diet, and the specific circumstances of the trauma incident itself. Therefore, it would be nearly impossible to create a pharmaceutical that is a one-capsule-fits-all solution for this kind of nervous system injury. Secondly, due to the largely unknown nature of MTBI and how it can affect the brain, it's too difficult to do studies and measure the effectiveness of different treatments when it comes to an MTBI. Pharmaceutical companies must go through a rigorous new drug pipeline that requires a long-term testing phase that can take many years, many trials with patients, and can cost tens or hundreds of millions of dollars to bring a new drug to market. This whole process is to ensure the pharmaceutical drug will not adversely harm patients and requires that the pharmaceutical company acquires definite evidence that a drug works for the specific ailment they are claiming to treat. Therefore, if a pharmaceutical company were to test and release a drug to help with MTBI or one of the symptoms associated with an MTBI, you could expect it would need to carry a very expensive price tag when it's released on the market in order for the company to recover the multi-million-dollar investment money they had to spend on research, testing, and legal costs incurred during the drug's multi-year development phase. When purchasing pharmaceutical drugs, you're not only paying for the ingredient costs to produce the capsules and the packaging, but you're also paying for the cost of investment that the pharmaceutical company had to make on research, development, and personnel to bring the drug to market. This drug development process is often a multi-year project and can sometimes take over 10 years and hundreds of millions of dollars to get a new drug approved. In addition, the majority of pharmaceutical drugs are specifically designed to mask the pain or reduce symptoms, not to address the cause and help improve the healing within the body. Conversely, with natural supplements, nutritious, real and whole foods, and other natural means, we can help optimize the human body's natural repair functions so that the injured region, the cause of the symptoms, can actually heal and make a recovery. When people with a concussion or MTBI turn to pharmaceuticals for relief, they often will return to work, school, or their sport faster than they should because the pain is hidden and they may feel okay to return. But the core problem still remains and is only being hidden by drugs, which can increase the risk of causing significantly more damage with a subsequent second injury. We recommend you save your time and money by skipping the pharmaceutical drugs and instead focus on natural and holistic solutions to the pain and symptoms you're experiencing, and take the time for the process to run its course naturally. In the next sections, we will dive deep into the exact methods you can use to optimize the natural pharmacy that we all carry within our bodies to help your body heal itself from the inside out.
So Dr. B, on online forums, there are lots of discussions about which pharmaceutical painkillers or drugs are best to take when you have a concussion, with many people stating that their doctor prescribed them with different pharmaceutical pain-killing drugs. Now, with my understanding of the available pharmaceuticals and everything that you just explained, and how none of them are approved to actually, help heal brain injuries, only help suppress the symptoms, that does not seem to be a good solution while healing. What are your thoughts on patients using pharmaceutical drugs to alleviate or mask the pain and or symptoms associated with mild traumatic brain injury?
Good question. Philosophically, I would say these should be avoided because I believe that masking pain or discomfort is not a good thing to do. But when the symptoms are debilitating, there's evidence that the right medication will mask the symptoms just enough where they will allow your body to get that necessary initial phase of rest. In most cases, though, the pain is not debilitating. What I would suggest instead of using chemical medication compounds to mask the brain's capacity to perceive whatever it is that's discomforting or dysfunctional is a mechanical means of pain reduction such as a cold pack or cold baths. I would suggest putting a cold pack on the back of the neck, back of the head, or the temples, wherever the pain is. I mention the temples because oftentimes when a person has these neck injuries or concussion symptoms and feels the pain, they often tend to get frustrated. And when they get frustrated, they tend to clench their teeth and jaw more than usual, which can also then inflame the temple muscles. The temple muscles are major generators of muscle tension headaches as a result of the clenching. This then compounds with the original problem, precipitating symptoms, and now there are two issues. I've always found, and I've seen this with thousands of patients, that when patients utilize cold packs to reduce inflammation, it inevitably reduces pain and allows them to function much better. With this method, they can still be aware of any discomforts and dysfunctions, which they should be aware of in order to accurately assess their recovery and capacity, and be aware to limit any potentially irritating activities that they might do that would again slow down the healing process. So my own personal opinion on pharmaceuticals and other chemicals that block or hide the pain is that they should be avoided at all costs, because a person should allow their body and brain to perceive what's wrong so they can get through the healing process properly and not pose a risk of actually aggravating things further because they are not perceiving that they are still having post-concussion symptoms. You don't want to go back to a sport or doing something that's aggravating your head and neck or could potentially result in a far worse second injury because the pain was masked by a drug. In my personal experience, and from the reports I hear from my patients, no medication or pharmaceutical has been as effective as using the non-invasive acupressure technique that I teach. Simply using your hands or a tool like Dr. B's trigger pointer to perform acupressure on your sore neck and head muscles can be an incredible relief tool. I originally tested the technique on myself many years ago, and I found I had tremendous relief from my symptoms after a single session. From that moment forward, I started to experiment with this acupressure technique more and more on myself and on some patients whom I perceived from their history, x-rays, and symptoms had similar problems as I did. To my amazement, it worked nearly every time. Not 100%, but the percentage where it provided amazing results was staggering. The results were much better than what the pharmaceuticals were doing for my patients. Plus, it's a simple technique that you can learn to do at home at any time. The point I want to get across is if I have a choice between taking chemistry-altering medication for the rest of my life or needing to occasionally spend 10 to 30 minutes working on myself with acupressure using Dr. B's trigger pointer for the rest of my life, then I will choose the trigger pointer hands down. This method has no adverse interactions, And what is more relevant to me as a person living with recurrent pain and symptoms is that it works for me. Now, when my symptoms get to their worst and are so bad that I sometimes feel like my head will explode and I can't think straight, I know that with a sustained pressure technique, acupressure, I will be normal again, in most cases within a few hours at worst, but generally within 30 minutes. Because the concept of paining oneself to gain a reduction in pain is such a foreign concept for most people, they will often gravitate away from the self-pain technique and instead start popping pharmaceutical pills and coming in for more one-on-one treatments with me. The pharmaceuticals only mask the pain, and getting treatments only works if they are prepared to be truly tortured and put through pain before they feel better. In general, the patients whom I treat that get the best results are the ones who can handle as much pressure as I can give, and that is a lot of pressure if you ask any of my patients. Luckily, most people do eventually understand the notion of, okay, I'm dealing with a long-term injury here, so I should embrace this form of self-treatment and not expect there to be some kind of a magic bullet that will make it all go away and with one adjustment or one pill or one surgery. I can honestly tell you, I've seen lots of people who have been taking a laundry list of heavy pharmaceuticals for many years or have had invasive surgical procedures where they've spent upwards of $100,000 and they are not any better off after the pharmaceuticals or surgery. In my opinion, pharmaceuticals are not a long-term solution, and the risk of doing invasive surgical procedures can be too high. If there's another option that is not invasive, and if done properly, done diligently, and done frequently enough, will give a person a pretty darn good quality of life, that's what I would recommend. This is exactly why I recommend natural treatments such as acupressure using Dr. B's trigger pointer, paired with frequent cold pack application or cold water exposure to reduce inflammation, and of course a healthy diet with adequate supplement intake. Again, the person will need to come to grounds with this new normal for them, and the dysfunctionality that they're trying to get better from will improve, leaving them feeling better physically, mentally, and socially. The key is to learn these non-invasive, non-pharmaceutical techniques of pain reduction and then implement them whenever needed. With that being said, it will require a period of time of diligently working on the damaged tissue region before you get better. Now, if we look back at the social withdrawal aspect, if you're an outgoing person before a severe head or neck injury, then you may experience, without really knowing why, that you're not attracted to the stimulation of crowds, loud environments, and where people are having fun for a period of time after the injury. Through this healing process, a lot of my patients start getting that social element of themselves back. For some people, at least to an extent, there is still a limit to how much they can handle for a while, but they will get back slowly. Being able to socialize a little bit again and actually have fun without feeling compelled to withdraw is nice.